The story of Giza begins amidst the sands of the Nile Valley. Founded over 4,500 years ago during the Old Kingdom period of ancient Egypt, Giza emerged as a vital center of religious, cultural, and political significance. The name Giza itself is believed to have ancient origins, possibly deriving from an ancient Egyptian word meaning border or threshold. Indeed, Giza served as a gateway to the afterlife for pharaohs and nobles, with its iconic pyramids serving as monumental tombs intended to ensure eternal life for the deceased. The Old Kingdom period, 2686 to 2181 BCE, witnessed the construction of Giza's most famous landmarks, the Great Pyramids and the Sphinx. Commissioned by pharaohs Khufu, Khafre, and Menkaure, these colossal structures stand as enduring symbols of ancient Egypt's architectural prowess and spiritual beliefs. As centuries passed, Giza continued to thrive as a center of religious pilgrimage and royal patronage. The Middle Kingdom period, from 2125 to 1650 BCE, saw the construction of additional pyramids and temples, while the New Kingdom period, from 1550 to 1069 BCE, witnessed a resurgence of interest in Giza's sacred sites, with pharaohs such as Amenhotep II and Ramses II undertaking restoration projects and adding their own monuments to the landscape. Giza's significance endured into the Greco-Roman period, as evidenced by the construction of the nearby city of Memphis and the establishment of temples dedicated to Greek and Roman deities. However, with the decline of ancient Egypt's power and influence, Giza gradually faded into obscurity, its monumental structures standing as silent witnesses to a bygone era. Just a few miles away, the tale of Cairo begins in the 10th century CE with the Fatimid dynasty. Seeking to establish their power, they chose the strategic location of present-day Cairo to build their capital. This vibrant metropolis, founded in 969 CE, was named Al-Qahira, meaning the Conqueror, inspired by the planet Mars's auspicious alignment at the time of its establishment. In the early years of its existence, Cairo blossomed into a hub of commerce, culture, and learning during the Islamic Golden Age. Its streets teemed with traders, scholars, and artisans from across the Islamic world, drawn by its grand mosques, bustling markets, and renowned centers of knowledge. As centuries passed, Cairo witnessed the rise and fall of various dynasties, each leaving its indelible mark on the city's landscape and culture. Under the Mamluks in the 13th century, Cairo experienced a period of unparalleled architectural splendor, with iconic landmarks such as the Cairo Citadel and the Mosque of Sultan Hassan adorning its skyline. But Cairo's history is not without its trials and tribulations. The city endured invasions, occupations, and revolutions, but emerged stronger and more resilient each time. It played a pivotal role in Egypt's struggle for independence in the 20th century, standing as a symbol of defiance against colonial rule. Today, Cairo stands as a testament to the endurance of the human spirit. Its bustling streets, vibrant markets, and awe-inspiring monuments bear witness to a legacy that spans over 1,000 years. From the majestic pyramids of Giza to the winding alleys of Islamic Cairo, there's no shortage of wonders to explore in this ancient city. Hello, and welcome to episode 7 of the Travel Like Locals podcast. I am your host, Alex Tabary. Immediately after finishing my study abroad at Texas A&M Qatar in the summer of 2017, I decided to start the second half of my journey in Egypt. Being just a few years after the Egyptian Revolution of 2011, I had multiple friends advise me not to visit by myself due to possible safety threats. As a stubborn 20-year-old, I wasn't going to let that stop me, but I decided I would be more cautious and just venture out with a local guide. I spent a day exploring the pyramids at Giza, where I got to climb inside the Great Pyramid, ride a camel through the desert, and see the Sphinx. Next, we went and visited the enormous statue of King Ramses II, and finally, we ended the day at Saqqara, the site of the first pyramid in Egypt. Though these were major tourist sites, each place seemed mostly empty, which my tour guide told me was because the revolution had scared away many tourists. Although I never felt unsafe, I was very appreciative to have my tour guide with me as she was able to help me negotiate for souvenirs I was interested in, and she was great at fending off people trying to scam you at various sites, which is unfortunately extremely common. Although probably not what you first associate with Egypt, it is definitely home to some delicious food. This week I've decided to make one of my favorites, omali, an Egyptian dessert similar to bread pudding. You can find this recipe on my TikTok and Instagram at TLL_pod. For this episode, I've interviewed Mahmoud, a local guide. In the interview, he recommends all of the best foods to try, the top sites to see, and how to avoid many common scams. As always, you can find all of his recommendations and more on my website, www.tllpod.com. But for now, on to the interview. All right, I'd like to welcome our next guest on the podcast. From Cairo, Egypt, we have tour guide Mahmoud. Mahmoud, thank you for being here.
You're welcome.
So, could you tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got into being a tour guide and all that?
So when I was a kid, my grandmother was lived nearby a tourism area, the Islamic city in Cairo. So I was in love with taking my relatives, my friends there, and start to explain to them those mosques. Get some information from Wikipedia, which I will never do it now. But I was like, and then I explained to them some history about the city. So then I was like, I want to be a tour guide. So, okay, how I can be a tour guide? I studied Egyptology before first, and then I became a tour guide.
Nice. So, how long have you been doing this for now?
5 years.
Okay. Do you have any areas of expertise for Cairo, like any specific tours that you specialize in, or just kind of anything?
Now I'm more a specialist in ancient Egypt. And I'm not only in Cairo, I'm in Cairo and Luxor and Aswan. So I'm in different cities.
Okay, cool. So, in your opinion, what do you think is, for Cairo specifically, what would be the best time of year for people to come and visit?
The problem is the high season is the best time to visit Egypt, but it's very crowded. So the high season, which is the winter, which is from October till the beginning of April. This is the best time to visit Egypt, but it's very crowded. The other months,
Okay.
it will be less crowded, but it can reach to 40, 42 degrees Celsius.
Okay, so yeah, so that's like 110 Fahrenheit. So what's the weather like during the winter time in Cairo?
It's not very cold. It's very cool. Like for you, you will feel it's kind of a little warm, so it will be amazing.
Okay. And what's the temperature, I guess, for that? Celsius is fine.
Yeah, we use Celsius. Yeah, during winter it will be around 20. No, from 20 to like 16, sometimes 15 during
Okay,
winter.
so
Yeah.
that's 60 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit, which is great weather. Are there any specific events or festivals that occur throughout the year that are good for people to travel for specifically?
Well, in Egypt, we don't have like festivals like some European countries or Latin American countries, but we have events that date back to ancient Egypt, like in Abu Simbel temple, the sun will go 60 meters deep inside the temple only 2 times per year to penetrate the face of the king and two sun gods, and it happens only twice a year during the coronation day of the king and during his birthday. So that's a phenomenal thing. A lot of people they just came to Egypt to see that thing. But away from that, during Ramadan months, we have Ramadan vibes, a lot of shows, a lot of things happen during Ramadan, but not like big festivals. During Ramadan at night, we have a lot of things going on. Like some places, like some cafes or lounges, they will have like shows. Smoking hookah is a big thing in Egypt, so a lot of people will go to smoke hookah and enjoy some Egyptian folklore shows in like those lounges. But we don't have like a huge festival that a lot of people can watch.
Okay. So about Ramadan time, I know some countries, everything's basically shut down during the day. You can't find food while the sun's up. How is it in Cairo during that time?
In Egypt, we are here in modern country, so not everyone, even if he's a Muslim, is going to fast. So there is a lot of restaurants, cafes will be open during the daytime. So some of them will be closed, but or the like you can say 60% of the restaurant will be closed, but the other 40%, especially in Cairo, Luxor, Aswan, they will be open. We are a modern country, so so a lot of people, even if they are a Muslim, they are not gonna fast during Ramadan. So we can say like 50 to 60% of the restaurants and the cafes will be open during the daytime. So it's not gonna be a big deal. So a lot of tourists they can find restaurants and cafes, especially in Cairo, Luxor, and Aswan in the tourism cities, or
Okay.
the open-minded city, or like the more modern cities, which is Cairo, Luxor, Aswan, Alexandria.
Sure. Okay. So for people who are coming over and want to form a better connection with the local people, could you teach us some basic Arabic words and phrases that could be useful for anyone to use?
Yeah, sure. Hello, hello is salam, salam. Uh, thanks is shukran. Let's go is yalla yalla. Um, how much is bekam? Um, no is la. So if someone wants to say no thanks, it will be la shukran. Habibi, which is my love, but for a female. Habibti, which is my love for a female, because we use those two languages a lot, like hey buddy, hey Habibti.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are I think the most common words that we teach the tourists.
Perfect. That's great. Um, could you tell us a little bit about, I guess, how you see it, how Egyptian culture is, and how it differs from other cultures around the world?
The Egyptian culture, it's mixed. Even in Egypt we have different cultures. We have people with a very closed mind that you can feel that they date back to like 1,000 years ago, and we have some people with a very open mind. So most of the people that the tourist will deal with, they are the open-minded people. So and also even the cities that the tourist will go, it's mostly contain like open-minded people. Uh, but like in Egypt, normally like there is nothing called a girl. She's my girlfriend or she's my boyfriend, and we can go stay like in her room in her house, and she can come to my house. In the closed mind areas, or in like a lot of Egyptian, they don't do that. For sure, the tourists will see a lot of ladies wearing the hijab, which they covering their hair, because it's I'm an
Mhm.
Islamic country, so a lot of ladies they choose to cover their hair as the Islam tell them, and maybe very rare, like 1%, 2%, that they will be covering their face, like you can see only the eyes. But those are very radical Muslim, and it's very rare to see them. I think that's it. The Egyptian they are in love with with the tourism field, or they also the tourist. So if a tourist walking
Mhm.
by the pyramids, and the little kids will come to ask him to take a picture with him, and they will be so happy that they took a picture with a tourist. He for them is like a Hollywood star, like so. And also if if the tourist has got lost or anything, and he need water, or who doesn't know where to go or anything, the people will run to help him. So the Egyptians, they are great with welcoming tourists everywhere, not only in Cairo, like not only in the modern area, everywhere. They will welcome him, they will help
Mhm.
him, they will do whatever he needs. I had two clients, they were traveling from Luxor to Aswan by their own side. They were cycling from Alexandria to Aswan. They were cycling, and
Wow.
on the way they were hungry. And one of the people who live in the village, they invited them to their house, and they offered them food and a few drinks, and whole thing was for free, for sure. And they give them water after that, and they give them some sandwiches and snacks on the way. So the Egyptians, they are very humble people. They know how to welcome tourists very well. away from the some for sure it
Awesome.
happen in the sightseeing, like there is scammers, there is hustlers, but that's everywhere in the world.
Yeah. So going into that specifically, is there any like safety precautions that you would tell people to look out for while they're at a major tourist site, say the pyramids or something like that?
Sure. So it mostly happen at the pyramid. So once you enter the area, before even you enter the area, if you are like taking an Uber or taking a taxi, they will stop the Uber and they tell him that you cannot enter the pyramid and you have to get a camel, and that camel will cost huge amount of money. So that was the first time for them to try to scam. If you succeeded that and
Hmm.
do not ride camels before you entering the area, because before you will pay a lot of money and you're not gonna enjoy the pyramids. Then after you entering the area, there is some people they are having like an IDs, and he was like, I am a guide, I work here, I work for the government, whatever he will say, and then he will start to ask for the tickets, and you will feel that he's like he have an ID, so he's working with the government. He will take the tickets and he will tell you it's a huge area, you have to ride a cab, you have to take pictures, here is the best spots for picture. Then he will charge you for taking a picture with your phone. Like he's holding your phone, he's taking pictures for you, and he will charge you for that. And then he will charge you for riding the camel, and that will be a lot of money, or a chariot, or a horse, whatever you will choose. And then he will ask for his own tip. Then there is a camel guy will be like with you, or a guy anyway, whether you are riding a horse or a camel or a chariot, he will be with you the whole time, and then he will ask for a tip again. So it's better if you while you are at the pyramids. I always tell that to my clients, so that they don't talk to strangers. They are deaf and blind. Once you enter in Giza area, you are deaf and blind. That's in Giza. Yeah. In Cairo, especially in downtown Cairo, you're just walking around in downtown Cairo, enjoying the amazing building, the medieval Cairo, and then you'll find a guy. He started to tell a few jokes, acting like he's a friendly, and then he will start to you like, I am a teacher, I teach English, I have my own place, I want to show you whatever, or I am an artist, I draw some paintings, and I want to let you see some of my paintings. And the scam will start again. He will take you to a shop, and then he will start to scam you. So the while you are in downtown, also if someone inviting you to take you to any place, and he said he's an artist or a teacher or whatever, just say no. And he start to speak you in a good way. And a teacher, he might tell you that I have few kids and they are poor and need money. And he will like, can I invite you for a tea or for a hibiscus tea or for coffee or whatever? And then he will start to scam you. An artist, he was like, I am an artist. I draw scenes on whatever paper is or whatever he's doing. And then he will start to take you to a shop, and then the scam will start to begin. So also in downtown Cairo, if someone starts to speak to you friendly, then he's offering to take you somewhere. See, the
Hmm.
same thing will happen also in Luxor and Aswan. But in Luxor and Aswan, it's everywhere in the street. You will find the guys like, do you want a chariot? Do you want a boat ride? Do you want a tour? Do you want a taxi? Like, and they keep walking like after you, especially in Luxor.
Okay. So does this kind of tie into the term bakshish, or like the tipping way of life in Egypt?
Yeah, it's a huge thing in Egypt. Unfortunately, some tourists they
Okay.
don't understand it, but we as locals we do it everywhere. Like I'm in a restaurant and I order something, I have to give him a tip and a good amount of tip. If I'm even with Uber, like I'm riding an Uber, I give him a tip. Um, I'm in a cafe, I'm getting my coffee. There's a box that I will put some tips for them. Even in the very authentic local cafes, like we call them kahwa. The guy who's bringing you your tea or your Egyptian coffee or whatever, you give him a tip. So we are tipping everywhere. So we even us as locals, it's not about only for tourists. It's even us. So tipping in Egypt is a
Yeah.
huge thing. Yeah. I think maybe bigger than
Okay.
America.
Could you give us? Yeah, yeah, I think so. Could you give us some good, I guess, rules of thumb for percentages or how much you should tip for different things?
Well, I'm gonna say them in dollars. Okay, if you
Sure.
are doing a tour and it's a private tour, I think you might need to tip your driver from 5 to 10 US. It's a private tour. Like if you are 2 or 3 or 4, from 5 to 10 will be okay. If it's a big group tour, I think $1 or two or maximum
Mm,
$2 will be for each person will be good.
mm,
For in a restaurant, depending on your bill, but I think a maximum for a restaurant will be $5, which is like
mm.
in equal to Egyptian pounds will be 150 Egyptian pounds. In a cafe,
Okay.
it's depending on the cafe. Like if you are in a Caribou or a Starbucks, you can leave like $1 maybe. But if you are in a
Hmm.
local cafe, you can just leave like 10 Egyptian, which is a $0.25, or
Mm,
like 50 piastre or whatever. For people like us as tour guides, it's depending on what you feel. Like there is no good tour guide will ask for tip. Even if you're not gonna give him, he will never ask you for a tip. But if you willing to give him a tip, it's about you, like about the client or the guest himself. He have to decide because the tour guide he was you like for 5 or 6, maybe 7 days. He explained a lot. He took care of you and blah blah blah. So you decide. Not I cannot say a percentage for tour guide.
okay. And so I think a lot of places you can probably get by with maybe never taking out any cash from the bank. You can get by with your credit card, debit card. In Egypt, would you say that it's pretty important to have cash with you?
You can have a like you can maybe the all if you are here in Egypt for like 7 days, you may need like $100 also only in Egyptian, which is like 3,000 Egyptian. Because if you are doing a tour, even if you will pay the tickets in cards. If you are buying a souvenirs, whether in a nice shop or even in the old markets, you can pay by card. If you are in a nice restaurant, there is always card. Only a few places that they don't accept cards. So I think like 3,000 Egyptian for someone who's staying for 5 or 7 days, that will be more than enough. But also,
Okay.
it's better if you bringing some dollars, like $1 bill, a lot of them for like
Mm,
tipping. And if you will get like a little souvenir, like a magnet or a keychain or a purse, some of them they sell them for $1. So instead of like break 100 or like change $100, you have already like a few bills that you can use it, smaller bills that you can use it.
hmm. Okay.
And also one more
Perfect.
thing, as long as we're
S-
talking about the currency in Egypt, if you are traveling to Egypt and you're bringing dollars, our government is very weird about that. That the dollars has to be new, has to be after
mm,
2018, like, and also there is no ink, there is no writing, there is no stamp. Because if you're bringing those kind of
mm.
dollar, like if
Okay.
your dollars is ripped or something, no one will take it from you. So it's kind of useless money.
Okay. Good to know. So I visited Cairo back in 2017, the summer of 2017, and I I'm basically I'm wondering about how it is today compared to then. I remember when I was there, the sites, the pyramids, everything. It was not really crowded at all with tourists. And my tour guide told me when we're going places, we shouldn't tell people I'm American. We'll pretend you're Australian as a safety thing. I'm not sure if that was them specifically, maybe overreacting to something, or yeah, I just wanted to know your opinion on that.
So okay, so I am a licensed tour guide from Ministry of Tourism. So when I'm doing a tour, I have to do some paperwork. So I have to inform the Ministry of Tourism and also the police tourism that I have you, Alex, and that's your passport. I will require a picture of your passport and that you are staying in that
Mhm.
hotel for starting from like March 23rd of March till like 27th of March. And that on the first day we are going to do that. Second day I have to give them the full itinerary in details, and I have to give them my name, my number, and also the driver's name and the driver's number. When we do that, I can tell anyone that I have an American client. If I don't want to do
Mm.
that, it's better Not to say that I have an American client. So your
Okay.
guy was not following the rules, or he's not doing something bad. Sometimes it's like last minute tour and we can't do that kind of paperwork, but it's better if you do that. That's one thing. Second thing is, when we have Americans and it's a big number, it's like we have like 15, more than 15, or maybe even more than 10. Sometimes we have a security guard with us, like a police guy in a suit, escorting us the whole time. And also sometimes we have a police car escorting us the whole time. Why we do
Wow.
that? Why they bring those things? We don't know. Like we literally don't know. The country is very safe and the sites are very safe. But like they
Hmm.
always tell us that it's for like extra security. We don't understand that word.
Okay.
But we
And
do
is
whatever we
that just for sure? Is that just for American tourists, or do they do the same
not
for
just for
Canadian,
Americans,
European?
it's supposed to be for all the other nations, but
Hmm.
maybe you have Russian or European or whatever country is, and one time you have the security guy, one time you don't have. If you have Americans, it's always you have them.
Okay. Interesting.
Maybe I don't know. Maybe because your country are very strong, so they are afraid that anything might happen, which nothing happens for like maybe more than 5 or 6 years. The whole Egypt. I'm not talking about tourists. Something happened to tourists. I'm talking about the whole of Egypt. Nothing happened to anyone for like the past 5 or 6 years, and the whole country is very safe. But maybe just they wanted to be ready. Like we are very ready in case anything will happen. We are ready.
Okay.
Some people
Cool.
they
So
love it.
definitely don't let being an American.
Some
Some
Americans
of them
do
like
love it.
it.
Especially like we have a security, we have a car.
Yeah. So you're saying just don't let being an American stop you from traveling to Egypt. You're going to be completely fine and very welcome by the locals. It sounds like.
Yeah. And one more thing,
Okay.
well, there's a lot of Americans. They I don't know how they got that mistake. You know, there is a problem happening next to us in a strip of Gaza, right?
Hmm.
So some people, when we speak to them, some Americans, when we speak to them, they were telling us, "Are we going to Gaza pyramids?" So they are thinking that Giza, Gaza.
Yeah.
So that's the
Not
thing.
the
Like,
same.
yeah, it's not the same. Gaza is something, and Giza is something.
That's funny. Very important distinction there. So that for people coming, what are there any specific areas that you would recommend them to stay in while they're visiting or to avoid completely?
Well, for sure, I will avoid anyone to stay in the Giza Pyramids area. Once you go outside of your hotels, there is hustlers and scammers everywhere, and there is not a lot of good restaurants around you. And if you want to go out, you have to drive for like 30 or 40 minutes. So the view is amazing. Like the best view for any hotel will be in Giza because you're seeing the pyramids and the Sphinx from your room.
Hmm.
But if you don't care for the view, don't ever go there. I do recommend Zamalek area. It's a very nice neighborhood. It's full of embassies, and most of the expats who live in Egypt they stay there in Zamalek Island. I also prefer like downtown Cairo a little bit. It's nice area. You can just walk around. You will find everything that you need. It's very close to everything. So I will recommend those two places. And I don't recommend Giza Pyramid.
Okay. So is it mostly hotels or is Airbnb big in Egypt? What would you
We have that. We
recommend to
have that.
people?
We have to shoot 5-star hotels like Marriott, St. Regis, Ritz Carlton, Four Seasons, Sofitel. A lot of 5-star hotel, Hilton. We have 4 stars like Marcello, Novotel. Um, some Sheraton hotels are 4 stars. Um, we have 3 star hotels, and we have a lot of Airbnbs, and we have a lot of like boutique hotels. I do recommend. I don't know, like I think everyone he is like, if you can afford 5-star hotel, for sure I will recommend 5-star hotel. But I think some of the 3 and the 4 star hotels are very good, especially the 4 star hotels. We have a lot of good 4 star hotels, and also we have a lot of good Airbnbs. But if you want to feel safe, go to 3 or 4 or 5 star hotels,
Okay.
because honestly,
Perfect.
Airbnb, it's not official in Egypt.
Mm. Okay.
So yeah, so he's doing something kind of illegal. The law in
Mm.
Egypt is different than in US. So that's your own house, yeah, but it's a private house. You're not supposed to use it for business. So you're using it for business and you gain money, but you don't pay taxes. So that's kind of an illegal thing, because it's a private house and there is no in the law you're not supposed to use your private house for a business. So there is no any legal thing that they can use that, and also they don't pay taxes. It's kind of illegal, but it's still like nothing will bad will happen to the clients. Just yeah, there's a lot of Airbnbs and they are great. Some of them on the Nile view, or maybe at even at the pyramids view. So there's a lot of good Airbnbs.
Okay. Definitely good to know then. What would you say is the best way to get around the city? Because if there's one thing I remember about Cairo and Egypt was just the traffic was crazy, like definitely the craziest traffic I've ever seen. So, yeah, I think I recently found out too that there is actually a metro system in Cairo. So, yeah, what would you recommend to get around?
For sure, not the metro. I'm from Egypt. I don't like metro or subway in Egypt.
Okay.
We are getting better. Our new president of this is making a lot of roads, bridges. Like there is a common joke, like we will wake up and we'll find a bridge in our apartment one day. So he's making a lot of things, but we still have traffic for sure, but it's better than before. My opinion is getting an Uber will be the best option you can do. It's safer, it's easier, and you don't know how much you are going to pay. And if you don't care about like having an AC or something, you can use a metro. It's not horrible, but unfortunately, some of the Egyptians they don't care for their hygiene, so they might smell it like after a long day of working in the summer. So they have their sweaty, they are sweaty, so they might be smelling a lot. So that's why I don't like to ride metro. But if you don't care about that, yeah, go for a metro. We have 3 lines now. We'll take you everywhere in Cairo and Giza. We are working on the fourth line, and Uber is everywhere. But don't ride white taxi at all. We have a taxi, which what we call it white taxi. Do not use it at all.
Okay. Why is that?
You don't know, like you don't even know how to use Google Maps, and you wanted to go to a restaurant, and you're asking the taxi driver to take you to a restaurant in that district. Maybe that district is very close to you, like maybe even it's a walkable distance. But the taxi driver will drive crazy in many places, and then he will ask for a huge amount of money. While the place is like literally behind you, and Uber can take like 50
Mm.
Egyptian or 40 Egyptian. Taxi might take two, and even he might tell
Okay.
you, "I will take 100 from you
Okay.
to drive you to that destination." And at the end, he's asking for more money.
Okay. So stick with Uber.
Yeah.
Okay. So could you talk a bit about some of the best food to try while you're in Egypt?
Yeah. For sure. Koshari is the typical Egyptian meal. You cannot come to Egypt and not eat koshari, especially if you are vegan or vegetarian. Also, I think that not most of the tourists try, which is something called hawaushi, which is a bread, Egyptian bread stuffed with minced meat. It's amazing. A lot of my clients, I did let them try it and they love it. Also, we have something called it's not something looks like a pizza. We call it fittir. You can call it a
Mm.
pancakes. It's not a pizza. Like the pizza's topping will be on the top. No, that one the topping will be inside it. We call it fittir. It's amazing also. And for sure, tagines, molokhia, which the green soup. You can try it everywhere. For sure, falafel, shawarma, broad beans, we call it fool. What else? Different types of tagines for vegetables. And for sure, kebab, kofta, shish tawuk, like mixed grills. Those are the most important things.
Okay, and then what about some desserts? I remember really enjoying I think it's omali there.
Yeah, Omali, yeah, rice pudding, something called mahalabiya, basbousa. It's made from semolina. It's my favorite dessert in Egypt. Those are also a lot of good things. There is something I don't think most of the tourists in Egypt tried. Something called there is a drink called sahlab. We drink it during
Okay.
winter when we feel cold. And there is something else called sobia. It's coconut with rice, with milk. We have a sour one and we have a sugary one. Also, maybe not all the tourists try. And we have a
Okay.
lot of juices. Yeah.
Are there any specific restaurants or just parts of the city that you would recommend to go and eat at?
For koshari, for sure Abu Tariq, which is in downtown. For
Hmm.
Hawashi, there is a restaurant called El Rifai, which is next to Abdin Palace. Highly recommend that place. For Fitir, there is a place in Zamalek called Fitir. There is also a restaurant called Zuba. It's in Zamalek area. That restaurant have a lot of authentic Egyptian food. It's highly recommended. There is Abu Shakra if you want to try mixed grill. There is in Hurghada, there is seagull if you want to try fish. And also there is fish market in Alexandria if you want to try to eat like a fish meal. I think those are the most important, the most famous restaurant. There is some authentic and very old, which they will be known for tourists like Rich Cafe, which date back to 19, I think, if I'm not wrong. And also there is I forgot the name now, but there is another restaurant which had the signature of Jimmy Carter, which is also very well known in the tourism field. I will remember the
Okay.
names.
Perfect. Yeah. What are some common, or what are the common meal times for locals for lunch and dinner, breakfast, any of those? I know it's different during
Ah,
Ramadan, but
in the normal days, not in Ramadan, we get our breakfast around 11 and 12. Then
mm,
we eat our lunch in like 5 or 6, and then we have the dinner from 9 till 12.
wow,
Yeah,
very
we are very weird with
a lot
food. Yeah.
later. If somebody came and they were used to say eating at 6 or 7 p.m., would the restaurants even be open then for them, or do they mostly open later?
Yeah. The restaurants in Egypt is open from like 12 or 1 p.m. till 1 or 2 a.m. And some restaurants open 24 hours. And
Wow,
if that restaurant sell only breakfast, they will be open since 7 a.m. So you will always find a place to eat. We
perfect.
don't stop eating.
Well, that's great. How many days would you recommend somebody coming over to spend in, we'll say Cairo, Giza, that kind of main area specifically, and what should they do during their trip? What should they see?
For Cairo and Giza, if you want to do the most important places, I will recommend 2 days, 2 full days. A full day tour for Cairo and a full day tour for Giza. If you want to go to some places that not most of the tourists go, you can add a third day. Then you will be covering like, let's say, 60% of the places, or maybe 50%. Yeah, that's for Cairo and Giza only. And then maybe a day trip to Alexandria. I don't recommend more than 1 day to Alexandria. Luxor and Aswan, 4 or 5 days will be good for them. But you can spend more because there is many temples in Luxor.
Okay. And what specific things would you recommend them to do around Cairo and Giza? Obviously, pyramids are going to be on everybody's list, but what else apart from that should they check out?
Saqqara for sure.
Hmm.
Saqqara is 20 minutes from Giza pyramids to the south of Giza pyramids. It was a mini necropolis of ancient Egypt, and they used it not only during the ancient Egyptian history is Old, Middle, and New Kingdom. Luxor, Valley of the Kings, and even whole Luxor, it was only New Kingdom. But like Saqqara, they used during the Old and the Middle and the New Kingdom. So there is variety of tombs. You can see the different style of art and also different style of architecture. Okay, you can see pyramids, whether a step pyramid or they are true pyramids. You can see mastabas date back to the Old Kingdom. You can see tombs for date back to New Kingdom. Even there is a king. His name is Hiramheb. Before he was the king, he have his own tomb in Saqqara, and also you can find the tomb of the nurse of King Tutankhamun. So there is variety. There is also a temple, a very famous temple in Saqqara, which is the temple of Serapeum. So there is a lot of highly recommended places in Saqqara. You can spend a half day in Saqqara, so it's highly recommended for me. Also, for sure, Coptic Cairo, you will see few churches, and in Coptic Cairo, there is a church that have a cave that Jesus spent 3 months in that cave. For sure, the citadel. So also, you will be able to see the Alabaster Mosque, and there is a panoramic view for Cairo. Islamic Cairo for sure is highly recommended. Walking on the old streets of Cairo, visiting the old markets area. Also, I do recommend three more mosques to visit, which is Sultan Hassan Mosque or Madrasa of Sultan Hassan, and also Ibn Tulun Mosque and El Rifai Mosque. Those are three places I highly recommend them. And also, I do love a palace called Muhammad Ali Palace, but only 10%, or maybe even less than 10% of the tourists go. And it's a chance to let the tourists see the modern Egypt. They always see like ancient Egypt or even Byzantine era or Islamic era, but they don't see modern Egypt. We have a lot of great palaces, and my favorite one is Muhammad Ali Palace. It's in El Manial. It's an island called El Manial Island. It's a very nice nice palace.
Amazing. So, you talked a little bit about the pyramids at Giza, some tips there as in just like avoiding once you're there, you said you're deaf and blind, like don't talk to anybody and basically engage in conversation. Are there any other like tips you would give somebody to when they're visiting the pyramids to have the best experience possible?
It's always sunny, so it's better if you have a cap or a
Okay.
hat. Wear sneakers, don't wear sandals. Uh, Always white or like white clothes, especially if you are in summer. You can take your own water instead of getting a water from there because they will sell it for a high money, for a lot of money. If you are not desperate for riding a camel, do not ride a camel if you are alone.
Okay.
But if you have a guide, he will get you a good deal. Maybe he will get you a good deal. But also, if you not desperate, don't ride camel. Try always to go with a car. Why? Because you've seen it before. It's to go from the Great Pyramid to the third pyramid. You will walk a lot in the desert. So why you do that to yourself? You can get. I'm not talking about a tour. You can even get a private car to take you around either area. So that will be easier and better. Um, I don't recommend go inside the Great Pyramid. If you are traveling alone, you're not gonna know that you're not gonna see anything inside, and you're now it's 900 Egyptian, which is like $30. That's the entrance ticket for the
Wow.
Great Pyramid. So $30 is not that cheap. It's not expensive, but it's still not cheap. So why you pay $30 to see nothing?
Yeah.
If you don't care about the experience and you just telling your friends I've been inside the Great Pyramid, if you don't care about that, so it's better if you're not going inside. You will bend your knees and back, and you're going up for a few minutes while you're bending your knees and back, and then you're entering the king's chamber, and there is nothing to see, just an empty wall. So
Yeah.
I
I
don't definitely not recommend it, especially with that price nowadays. $30 is not cheap.
Yeah, I remember when I was there, I did end up going inside, but I was a student at the time, and yeah, it was 7 years ago, so it was definitely not $50. I don't think I would have paid that because I was warned beforehand that most of the pyramids, obviously, people over the last thousands of years have come in and taken out all of the gold and the luxuries and stuff that used to be inside them. So when you're going in, it's just a narrow passageway. So. Yeah. I agree with that one
Well,
completely.
regarding the Great
$50
Pyramid, we
probably
never
not
found
worth it.
anything inside. Yeah, regarding the Great Pyramid, we never found anything inside. So
Okay.
yeah, so I don't recommend going inside the Great Pyramid, but
Wow.
there's another pyramid in Saqqara. I highly recommend to go inside the pyramid.
Mm.
Even what you will bend your knees and back for like 2 or 3 minutes, but it's highly recommended, which called the Pyramid of King Unas. Okay, it's in Saqqara.
Okay.
But the problem with that pyramid is that it's open from 9 till 12 only.
Mm.
After 12 p.m.,
Okay.
they close it. So you have to be in Saqqara at that time and you have to enter that. It's amazing. There's a pyramid text, there is inscriptions, there is scenes for the king, so it's highly recommended. And it's for free.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds great. So if you go there on time, definitely. Another thing I've heard about, I didn't really face this issue when I was there, but if you're bringing in larger cameras to some of the sites, there's sometimes an additional fee that you might pay for that. Is that
That was back in the days, not anymore.
okay? So now you're
Like back
good.
in the
Just bring in
days,
your
even if you're taking pictures with your phone in some sites, they will ask you to get a ticket. But nowadays, no, you
okay.
can't take pictures with your camera. But inside the museum, you cannot have a tripod, and inside
Hmm.
some other sites also you cannot have a tripod. And also, you can't have the big zoom lens in all of
Ah,
Egypt. And for sure,
okay.
drones is banned in Egypt. So if you're bringing a drone, the airport will take it from you. If you
Okay.
try to make yourself smart and like to divide it into many suitcases, so they're not gonna realize that and then gather it and reuse it, they will take it from you at any site, and you will have a problem later on with the intelligent forces.
Hmm.
So yeah, so don't ever think about bringing a drone in Egypt. I don't know why, but
Okay.
that's how the government do.
No, that's really good to know. Because I think there'd be nothing worse if you brought over a drone you probably spent a good amount of money on and they just took it right at the airport. So leave it behind. That's definitely good to know. So, are there any areas that you would recommend for people who want to buy souvenirs or crafts or something while they're there?
Yeah, okay. We have two different types of places. We have like someone who open a shop and he start to sell whatever he want to sell, and we have places running by Ministry of Tourism. But those places, especially like they will have essential oil and papyrus paper. Those your tour guide will take you there. The other
Yeah.
places, they all the same. Most of the items are made in China, but I will recommend one shop of them. The name of that shop is Jordi. It's in the
Okay.
old market. He sell those Chinese stuff, made in China stuff, but with a very cheap prices. It's fixed
Okay.
prices. I think you've been to the markets and there is nothing called fixed prices in the old markets, but it is the only shop that have fixed prices. And it's very famous in the Latin countries, the Latin American and the Spanish countries. Very famous there. So it will be great if it's also become famous in the US. So you can get a
Okay.
magnet for like 7 Egyptian pound. You can get a statue for 25 Egyptian pound, which is very cheap for sure. The same items that he
Okay.
sell in the other markets in downtown in the older markets, sell it for like $10, $15.
Wow. So, not for his shop specifically, but do you have any tips for people who are buying things and might not be used to the art of haggling?
Yeah. Okay, so let's say that I'm buying a statue and he's telling me the guy is telling me that the statue is the statue actually for us. So you
Yeah.
tell him 100 and you insisting of taking that statue for 100. If he say no, go to the other shops, you will find it and they will accept to take it for 100. The,
Okay.
this is and also with the street vendors, if you want to buy a magnet or anything, and there is a street vendor can approach you to sell you something, no, even if you want to buy it and you find it's a great deal, don't buy from the first guy. Buy from the third or the
Okay.
fourth guy because they will give you a better deal.
Mm, that makes sense. Perfect. So yeah, just go into it maybe with the price in mind and always be willing to walk away and then you'll get your best deal. Perfect. And the government shops that you mentioned, the tourist ministry shops, are those fixed price shops in general?
Yeah.
Okay.
For papyrus, they have always the price on the paper.
Hmm.
For the oils, they are telling you the prices, like depending on the size of the bottle that you will get, they are telling
Yeah.
you the prices. And also, if it's a real government shop, if there is any problem with whatever you got, you can just give it back to them and you will get a full refund.
Okay. Yeah. Not sure if you can see it here, but from when I was there, I
Yeah,
got a
it's
couple of
Zodiac.
the yeah, I got a
Yeah,
couple
it's
of
a
the
Zodiac.
Pyrus ones. So I think that's basically a must get souvenir while you're there. Cool. So just to start wrapping things up, is there anything else that you think that people should know before coming to Cairo for the first time?
The first thing that came to my mind is that you don't have to cover your whole body while you are here, especially for ladies. You can wear whatever you want as long as you are not like showing your body parts. Uh, yes, because especially some Americans, they came and like they wear like very heavy clothes and they are trying to cover everything, whether male or female.
Hmm.
And now it's you can be whatever you want. And also, if you are going to the Red Sea or like to the beach or anything, you can wear your bikini there because also some clients they were like they thinking that we don't wear that. So yeah. So the first thing will be about clothes. You can wear whatever you want as long as you're not showing your body parts. And also, even if you are going to a mosque, you can just cover your shoulders. This is the only thing that you need to cover your shoulders. You don't have to cover your hair. You don't have to do anything. Some mosques they will require to cover your hair, but some others they don't. They are not required to. Also, don't like if someone is trying to be so friendly with you, he may need something from you. So don't act that friendly.
Okay.
Especially ladies. Don't be that friendly to everyone that you don't know. Try to trust a little your tour guide if you are booking him from a good travel agency that you know that agency very well, or a guy to have like a lot of good reviews so you can trust him. If you don't know him and you just get him from a hotel or from an agency that you don't know, you can try to trust him. You can see if you can trust him or not. If there is a law, try to follow it because you may put yourself in a problem. Like climbing the pyramid is illegal, and you can see
Yeah.
the sign. So don't climb the pyramids because why you want to hear a word from a police guy telling you come here and like tell you any bad thing? In the inside the Egyptian museum today, my clients was telling me that taking pictures inside the room of King Tutankhamun is illegal. So some tourists, unfortunately, they secretly like try to take pictures.
Mm.
And then the guy was like, "Hey, you took a picture. Give me your phone." And he started to take your phone and running through your pictures. So why you do that yourself? So follow the
Mm.
law. Don't be so friendly with people. Um, don't expect that we will like very like cover up all everything. You can wear whatever you want, male or female. Yeah, I think that's it. I think yeah.
Perfect. Well, no, those are some amazing tips. So, for people who are coming over to Egypt and they're looking for a tour guide, how can people connect with you and find you?
Well, TripAdvisor or Instagram. I have my own Instagram and also I have a TripAdvisor account. So those two ways they can find me and other guys also, not only.
Perfect. Well, I will include all of your recommendations and the links of how to find Mahmoud on my website. But thank you so much. This has been really great and very insightful. So, yeah, thank you for your time.
You're welcome. You
All right. Well, have a great rest of your night. I'll definitely stay in touch.
okay? Okay.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
I hope you've enjoyed my interview with Mahmoud. As a reminder, you can find all of his recommendations and more on my website, www.tllpod.com. And if you want to learn how to make the national dessert of Egypt, omali, You can find this recipe on my Instagram and TikTok at TLL_pod. I will be back next week to dive into the city of London, England. Happy traveling.